Okay, hey, welcome back to the cabin once again. April 8th, Eclipse Day. So this is my Eclipse episode. I have no idea how this is going to go. If the skies are going to clear or stay like they are now, which is cloudy. We're just going to have a little project going, film right through it, and see what happens. So today, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. The critters all want to steal the show every time. So today the goal is to make new windows for here. Most of my windows down here, most of everything down here is salvaged from other places. Old windows, old doors, this is all old flooring. I mean, everything is salvaged from someplace else. The problem with that is now I can't buy windows for here. So we're going to make custom windows for there. We're going to make them a little bit better than this. The other windows are really fancy. They have a lot more segments in them. So that's what we're going to build for here. And we're not buying wood for it. We're actually going to cut down an old standing dead cherry tree that is a little bit punky on the outside, but I believe the inside of that tree is going to be dry enough and have enough wood to build this. I mean, we're talking very minimal wood I need to get. The rest of it, of course, will go in the pizza oven. Pizza for lunch. So windows, Eclipse, and pizza. Hey, you don't get much better than that, do you? I think it'll be a pretty good day. Hey, let's get busy. Let's get that tree cut down. The other thing I wanted to mention, a few people had said they would really like it if my videos were longer. So, you know what? On YouTube, it's really hard. You get both sides of it. I get people that say I talk too much. They don't actually say I talk too much. They say blah, 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 blah. Which I'm assuming that means I talk too much. And I do. I know I do. In real life, I'm a talker. Like when I get with people, I'm the guy holding the conversation in the room. So this video will be a pretty long video. I'm going to not drag it out, but I'm going to give you more of what I film. Sometimes I film 3-4 cameras, 6, 8, 10 hours to get that 15 or 20 minutes of footage. I'm gonna give you a little bit more of the footage and not cut quite so much away so that there's a little bit more for you to watch. So let's get that thing cut down and get it over to the mill and see if we have anything inside there worth using to build these windows out of. You're gonna have to go up front when it's time for me to cut down that tree, okay? So you don't get around it. Go. Okay, here's the tree in question. And as I said, the outside of it's pretty punky. Not terrible though. One side's worse than the other. It's standing pretty straight, but leaning toward the yard and toward her house a little bit. And I'd actually like it to fall into the woods so that it doesn't damage any of the shrubs or bushes or anything. Ideally, I'd like to drop it right toward that camera, but there's too much of a risk of it damaging something. So I've got it hooked up to my winch and I'm going to pull it back into the woods after I notch it a little bit. Very dry, very brittle, lots of widowmakers on the top. So it's very important to get out of the way of this thing. So ideally I'm going to notch it a little bit, cut it most of the way through. First sign of it moving, I'm going to go up to the winch and just apply some more pressure to it and hope to pull it over without overstressing something and breaking. You see that so often where people overstress a rope. The rope will break and then the tree will go the opposite direction. So that's our goal for today anyway. Ideally, like I say, it wants to go that way. I want it to go the opposite. I'd like it to kind of go diagonal toward where I have the cable put on it, but I should be able to do it. Let's just do it. coming pretty close. I thought I felt it crack. Come on, all the way down. Worst case scenario. Well, it come out of that one and got hung up in another one. I did not expect it to slingshot out like that. The things I get myself into. Oh, it just keeps getting caught up in another tree and another tree and another tree. Okay. We're about an hour from eclipse time. The tree is still stuck. That makes this 2:30, I believe it is. Eclipse is at 3:15. By a show of hands, who else gets grouchy when they're hungry and tired and hot? I sure do. So let's fix one of them. Let's get us pizza made, get something to eat, go sit down and wait for that eclipse, go back and visit my mom again. She's not doing too good. Go visit my mom again, cool off, revisit that tree this evening, maybe finish this video tomorrow. We're not going to get in any hurry. That's how people get hurt. And that tree is in a very dangerous situation. So, get excited. You want some pizza, Lavender? Uh-huh. You want some pizza? You love pizza, huh? I made the dough last night. It's all fresh. Smells amazing. Stick it in my pocket so it don't blow away. Feels great. Don't dare try to throw that one. It is way too... I mean, it's perfect for cooking with, but it just stretches too easy. You'll knock a hole in it. That is my favorite pizza sauce, by the way. I've tried a lot of different stuffs. This has a lot of flavor, a lot of texture. You don't really have to add anything to it. It's just perfect the way it is. Hoping you can see the can there. Haven't done pizza in a while. This is nothing fancy, this is just lunch. Okay, let's go. Normally hangs out here, so it has got knocked off a couple times. Okay, here we go. Okay, there you go. All right. Haha, how about that, huh? Let's cut that baby. My friends at Youngstown Pizza Review always say crust up. I don't know why, or maybe it's crust up. I don't have a clue what they do. Anyway, nice crunchy bottom. The crust is, but it's nice and doughy on the inside. That's what pizza should taste like. Anyway, I'm not gonna make you sit and watch me. We're gonna eat this pizza and then get back to waiting for our Eclipse. Tore my glasses in half because my neighbor didn't have one, so. Anyway, oh, you could just barely see a slither around the outside. Of course, my camera's probably adjusting for that, but pretty dark and pretty cold. Temperature dropped probably 20 or 30 degrees. So I wish I could film it, but I've tried a couple times and it just doesn't work. I'm gonna go put my glasses on the GoPro and see if it'll get it. I just covered the camera lens with the glasses and you can actually see it a little. I've got chains hooked to the bottom of it now, all the way to the bottom of the valley. I'm gonna try to pull the butt of it down the hill, which means the top of that's gonna fall, but I believe it'll fall pretty close here somewhere. I should be good. It has got the backside picked off the ground. I just saw it lift up. I kid you not, the bottom's 6 foot in the air. Because I had been working all day and was getting tired, I decided to give the truck a shot to see if I could get it out a little easier. Yep, that worked. By this time, I'd been going almost non-stop. My body was tired. I was just done, ready to just quit for the day. So I was just trying to get these logs up to the mill so I could call it quits for the day. Okay, that literally took me all day to get enough wood to do those 2 windows. Just because I was so stubborn and I wanted that tree that's been standing on the back corner of our property. So anyway, looks like that's a wrap for today. Here in just a second, you'll see me either on tomorrow or the next day. I have a couple chimneys to sweep tomorrow morning. And then I'll get right back on this project one way or another, either tomorrow or the next day. Whatever. You won't know it because it'll just seem like a couple minutes. All right, hey, good morning again. As I said, this is day 2 because of all the difficulty yesterday. I have a couple chimneys to go sweep, but I figured I would get this done, get this milled up before I go this morning, so. Morning, Mr. Archie. Get these dropped here. Careful, bud. Good morning. You want to come up for a minute? Come here. You can come up for a minute. Come on. Come on, you can come up for a minute. Good morning, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Mr. Archie. I can't do this long, okay? Okay. I gotta get back to work. Love you. Love you, kiddo. All right. It shouldn't be too terribly heavy. That one's got more of an arch in it than I thought. Let's start with this one. I have a pair of tongs somewhere. Ooh, what did I do with them? Okay, these things really come in handy. They're made so that 2 people can pick up a log, but they also help if you're doing it by yourself. If you've got something to grab a hold of. I can just get past that knot there. Now we'll be able to get it. As you can see, this is a little punky right on the outside, but surprisingly, there's a lot of good wood in there. I've been letting the chickens out to roam, and they have been extra loud because he wants that listened to him. He knows I'm talking about letting him out. You guys want out? He knows he's got my attention. Okay. What I've decided I want to use for the windows is 1.25 inches thick. So I need about 1.5 inches, maybe a little bit more, so I can run it through the planer to get it nice and flat. So 1.5 inches, the boards around the outside will be about 3 inches. Theoretically, all I need are, no matter how wide it is, I need pieces that are about 1.5 inches thick. So that's what we're going to scale today. Let's try that. This is the side here that's real punky. But as soon as you get down, even right there, it's solid. It's just this sapwood basically that got rotten right away. See, once that bad stuff is off of there, there you go. That's a nice piece of wood. And I think that actually will be enough to make all of the windows, just that one board. There really isn't all that much wood in a window. I start at 9.5 on my scale. Just a little bit down this edge that won't be any good for anything, but I can still get a nice cut off of that edge. So I'm going to go ahead and just slab it out. I just got to watch I don't hit those. Go. It'll be a pretty nice piece of wood once I get her planed down. Okay, that looks great. There's plenty of wood there. I do have a spot here, but there's a lot of pieces that are going to be smaller, so they can come out of the other end if needed. It's going to be nice wood. Oh, well, I figured I'd go ahead and take that coffee break. And of course, if I'm sitting down, Lavender's going to be here. You're fine. Sit down, bub. Yeah. And then baby Darcy is coming. Come on, Darcy. Baby Darcy still doesn't trust everybody because he doesn't like to go back inside. But he does trust Lavender. He hangs out with Lavender all the time. Oh, baby D. He doesn't trust me so much because when I'm leaving, I'm afraid I'm going to run him over and I throw him back inside. Building a log cabin like this is definitely a lot of work. Even just, like I say, building a couple windows is definitely a lot of work. But the satisfaction of sitting just out, listening to the birds and the neighbors mow the grass and the The watching the sun come up. It's also rewarding too. We had the eclipse yesterday, which is in this video. We were 99.3% covered. I mean, you could just barely see. When you looked through the glasses, you could just barely see the sun at all. The moon had completely covered the sun. But yet, if you didn't know what was going on, it would have just seemed like a cloudy day. I mean, it got kind of dark, but we weren't in the 100% blockage, so it was just kind of, I'm going to say, it was more like 80% of the light was gone. So kind of a very early morning before the sun quite comes up, and it was very much less than impressive. I got thinking a lot last night about like how often the moon will block the sun like that, which is, you're lucky if you see it once in your lifetime. But every single day of your life, the earth will block out the sun. We call it night. And I just get thinking about how much I can just walk out every single night and get more of a thrill out of seeing the stars and feeling the cold air and the moisture in the air than I did for that solar eclipse. I mean, I guess my message with that is just enjoy every day, enjoy every moment and every passing cloud and just every little pet you get from your puppy dogs. Just enjoy every day. I mean, life is precious and life is short. And but like I say, I mean, it was a moon passing in front of the sun. I mean, it was. Yes, it's something that only happens every once in a while, but I wasn't really that impressed, honestly. I would just rather get back to work. Oh. All right. Let's do this. I'll keep that, but if I need to slice anything off of it, we'll just use a table saw. There's still just a little bit on this side that can be used. Okay. Out of that one log, of course we got that one. That one little spot right there. That's pretty good for one log from a rotten tree. Like I say, this is good and dry. That's the reason I wanted to use it. I don't have to worry about it shrinking as much. There might be a little bit of moisture, but they're going to be outside windows anyway, so I think it kind of all evens out. Okay, so all the boards are cut. I moved them down to the basement because the planer's in the basement and the vacuum. I was going to move it outside, but quite honestly, it was easier to carry the boards down here than it was to move the planer outside. As you can see, I do not have a big fancy woodwork shop. It's not what I do. I'm building a log cabin. I have the tools I need to do what I need to do, but nothing extreme. So here we go. We're gonna plane these down to 1.25 inches. This is set to stop at 1.25 inches. That 1.25 inches will be the thickness of the window. So we're planing down just to get that thickness so everything can be planed to the same thickness, and then I'll cut off what I need. This is probably way more wood than I need, but if I get it all planed now, then I can work with it. Since I'm planing to 1.25 inches, if I need it later for something else, I can always knock it down to the inch or 3/4 or whatever I need. But anyway, let's get busy and get these planed down. I'm just going to put you in time-lapse mode. This is going to be a whole bunch of just running those boards through. I'm just trying to take off all the high spots, all the low spots, trying to make it all even. So I'll flip them over and just keep running them through until they're all done. See you shortly. There we go. They're all planed down to 1.25 inches thick. Pretty decent boards for coming from a tree that was in such bad shape. Little spot there on that one, but I don't need a lot of wood, like I say, to build windows. So. Okay, because these are all rough cut boards, the first thing I have to do on all of them is straighten up that edge so that I make sure that I'm not making pieces that are routed nice but have a curve or anything to them. So the first thing I'll do is run them through and straighten them up, and then we'll cut them to one of the pieces. I'll get quite a few out of each one of these boards, so I may only need one board for doing all the outside edge. Matter of fact, my guess is I don't even need one board to do the whole outside edge. So let's just start making pieces. No more talking. We're going to get done with the table saw before I come back. Okay, there you go. We've got all of our pieces made to make the next window. Let's get busy and router these out. The router set that we're going to be using is a Whiteside 6050. It'll router the side that's decorative, the side for the glass, and then when you reverse it, it'll cut the exact opposite so that you can tuck the pieces together. So that's what allows these pieces to fit together nice and snug. My only issue with that is that it's one set of bits. That means you have to cut one side, then reverse it to cut the other piece. So I did buy 2 full sets so that I could have 2 routers set up at the same time, so I can do one set of sides and then just do the other set of sides. I just know that if I mess up a piece or if I cut something wrong and have to remake a piece, I don't want to reconfigure the whole router because you won't get it set right. I wanted both routers set up all at the same time. So that's why I did buy 2. I have 2 routers set up. So let's get busy and just get these things routed out. Here we go. We're going to get just the inside of these 4 routed for the glass and then the decorative side at the same time. These 2, I like to mark with an X on one side, and then also all the small ones. And the reason is I have this one marked X down and that one marked X up. It's so easy to go from one router to the next and run that board through upside down. And if you do, that piece is junk. So by marking the boards and marking there, I can ensure that I'm not going to screw up and make one piece where I have to throw it away and make a whole nother one. So X is on there. I mark the tables X down, so I just make sure I turn this X down. And these 2 are the only ones that get a double router. The long ones do not, so I don't have to worry about that. So there's definitely what we're going for right there. I mean, it's a nice clean cut. You've got the groove for the glass and you've got the bevel there. So that's exactly what we're hoping to get on all of them. If I just take my time, I should be able to achieve that. Just got a couple wedges on there because that table's not, the table's got an arch in the middle. So by putting the wedge on the one side, it just touches on the two sides. Okay, so now we need to make this so it'll fit in there. And that's where this router comes in handy. Okay, now this piece should fit in here like so. And then this piece, this is the groove we cut, which is the exact opposite of here, should fit in just like that. And of course I'll glue and pin all this. There. Now you've got the basic shape of a window. And we just need to work on making our pieces to see what we want the design to look like. Of course you could just throw a piece of glass in there and have a regular window, or you could throw a piece of glass in there and put some pieces across the outside just to make it look that way. But we're going to do it just the way they did back then, which is make a bunch of little pieces of glass. Okay, so let's go ahead and get all the small pieces made. I want to get all of these. Now remember, these are still way too long. Most of them are going to be cut into the same size as this. So we need like 5 per window, 6 per window that go the 21 3/4. So I can get 2 out of each one of these. We should have plenty of extra, and then we'll have to make smaller ones to connect it all the way to the top to make it look like one piece. So now we just got to router those out. Let's get busy doing that. Okay, first thing first, we already got X's on those ones. let's get the rest of these X'd or marked. Instead of X'ing them, I think I'm just going to draw a line across them. At least I'll know when I see that line that it means the X. That way we don't get them reversed. Here's one, for example, that I cut, and you can see by the end of it that I cut it one direction and then it got reversed when I went back through the same bit. So it's completely wrong. There's nothing I can do with that but kindling wood in the bucket. All right, here we go. I'm going to go into time lapse in a minute, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this one through the other direction to show you how I do it, and then we'll just put it on time lapse and let me get them done. So now we have one side done. You can still see your marks on the top here. And what I did was I made these blocks of wood that I can snap into this. So here's my mark. I X this as well. So I can clip this in here, and I know that X goes down, so I can go this way. I made another one. I have not marked it yet, so let's clip it in place, which is that way. And let's get an X put on it, so we know that it is X down. Because if you don't do that, you have no way to control this thing tipping and catching. Now, one thing I am noticing, that knot right there, there is a real good chance it could completely break in half, so I have to be real careful right there. Okay, got one spot near the beginning that actually I just didn't cut deep enough. So I'm going to go back through with that. Other than that, that's a really good cut. So let's reposition that and go back in and cut that beginning again. Just didn't get it cut deep enough. That's much better. So now I have two sides for the glass to groove into and two sides that are decorative. Okay, let's go ahead and make a bunch more. Okay, my first step of this, to get all of these cut that are going to go from right to left. And then there'll be smaller ones in between that. So what I'm going to do is just use that same bracket that we made to hold this thing good and square so that I can get nice straight cuts. 21 3/4. I need between 5 and 6 per window. So I'm gonna cut 6, so I'll cut 12 altogether, and then we'll go back and make the other pieces once we figure out what the other division's gonna be. Okay. There's 12 of those, all alike. Now what we need to do is router the ends of these. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky, but also where I'll use my bracket that I made. So we have to router these so they'll fit in just like those end pieces. Okay, so about 6 of these are for this window. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get rid of these ones. Those will be for the window I started yesterday. We'll just work on one window at a time. We'll just work on one for now. I'll build the other one off video. Okay, so this is the side that doesn't have the glass. The glass is going from the back side. So this is your profile. You've got your glass on this side. This would be the upside as far as how we're working on it. Now these will get routered so they fit in nice and snug on the sides here. So let's go ahead and router one. We're going to remember our marks are going to go up on this one. Our X is going to go up on this one. We've got this set so we can go right out to the end. Now when I router this, I have this to hold on to so that it's not shaking that real bad, and it'll router it out to look like this on both ends, and then it'll fit across here. Let's do one. Now theoretically, because of the way that's cut and the way this is routered, that should fit right in there. Just like that. So now I just do the rest of those, and then we'll decide how big these segments are going to be and what this window will look like. Because it's such a big window, if I want more, I'll use a couple of those and I'll make a couple more. No big deal. So let's just go ahead and get the rest of them routed out. Okay. Now to decide how I'm going to divide it. So then we're going to divide this here and here, but we're going to have to do it with small pieces. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, and then whatever this is. So let's start by making, I like that, so we're going to use it. Let's start by making all of our 4s. Okay, this is kind of what I had in mind to start with. Hey, it holds together pretty good for not being glued up or anything, huh? I can still slide all those pieces. But what I'm going to do is, I think I want to, now remember, nothing's perfectly straight yet. I got to straight edge everything before I glue it up. I think what I want to do is slide this over to the middle. I'll straight edge everything when I glue it up. Okay, so I'm going to give you a look at it. I think that's what I'm going to go with. And I'll have to make 2 of those. I don't want to, I thought about doing that here even. Let's see what that looks like. If I slide this one over to the middle, I slide that one to the middle and get rid of this one. If I do that top and bottom, hey, it's my window, right? If I do that top, so it would be this one, slide this one over to the middle, slide that one out. I want to replace this one because it had the big knot in it. Oh, I think I like that better. Different size pieces here, and these are kind of similar to this but sideways. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go with, except for I'll run a laser line, or I'll get a nice straight edge, and I'll straight edge all these ones when I put them in so that they're perfectly straight in line with where they belong. So, okay, now that's going to be it. That is what I'm doing. Both windows will look like that. I will get it all tore back apart, glued up, pinned. See you shortly. Okay, there you go. So this is the one that you watched me assemble just now. And I did build a second one late last night, and it's here. And I just did it a little bit different, just because everything back there is mismatched. And I didn't want the 2 windows to be exactly the same. Even though they're the same size, I wanted them to have a little bit of a different pattern. So now I want to paint them. I know that for most people they're thinking, oh no, don't paint them, but you're not going to find an old window that replicates what's down there that doesn't have 3 or 4 layers of paint on it. So we're going to prime them, put some paint on them, kind of just make them look as if they've been around for a long time. So this is the decorative side, of course, and if you flip it around, this is the side that your glass will go in and get glazed in. So let me get these hung up real quick, get a coat of paint on them, and I'll check back with you after they're painted. I'm just going to slop on some good cover paint, prime them all up, paint them, try to make them just so that no one really notices that I put them up there. Maybe. Okay, there you go. I've got them both primered, and I don't want to paint the glass side until after I get the windows in and get them glazed. So our next step is going to be getting them, first off, letting them dry, and then getting some glass cut. Now, I've never cut glass before, so I built windows not even knowing if I can cut glass, but I'm hoping that if I can build a window, I can cut glass. So I bought a bunch of windows from a lady on Facebook. They're old farm windows. We're just going to tear them apart and get some glass out of those. So let's go get those windows while these things are drying and see if we can learn how to cut some glass. I was trying not to work on the table just because I didn't want crap on my table. can control that one from sliding just a little bit better. Here goes nothing. Like I say, I've never done this before. Okay. It sounded like it scored pretty good, but only one way to find out. Let's get. That might not be tall enough. Let's try it. Oh! Would you look at that? I did it. Yes. First time. Okay. Hey, that makes me happy. I've never done that before. I don't think it matters which way you go. Just see what we got. I don't think I scored quite so deep that time. I think I got it though. Oh, it fit that one good. I'm not going to make you sit and watch me cut all this glass. Let's cut this one, and then I will get the rest of these cut and put in there on time lapse. 13 1/8. 13 1/8. Now that one's a little bit tricky, just because that's a little close. Got it. Okay, I'm going to put you in time lapse while I get the rest of these cut. Back shortly. There you go. Now some of that glass is a little dirty yet. I only cleaned one side so I could cut it. So I got to glaze in the other side yet and decide what color I want the inside and paint it. The outside's going to stay like a creamy color, but I want to glaze it first. There you go. So the next I will see you, we will be installing these in the back kitchen. I'll get the glass cut for the other one tonight or tomorrow, and then we'll get them installed. Okay, good morning. Hey, finally, day 7, and both windows are made. Let me grab the other one, and we'll get them installed. All right, there you go. Now, I do not like the bright white, of course, down here, but as you can see, like, these windows are just aged really good, so you cannot paint the glazing for 7 to 14 days. So what I'll do is put these in, take them back out in a week or two, and give them a coat of paint to make them look good. You'll probably just notice them on a different video at some point in time. you will notice that the windows have changed colors. There's a lot of ferns that grow along the back there, and it's about this tall. So I got to get it done now while I can still walk through there, because here in a week or two you won't be able to walk in there at all. So anyway, let's just get busy, get them put in, wrap this video up. I know it's been a long one, but there was so much that went into cutting that tree down and building these windows from start to finish that I just couldn't cut away too much with that and cheat you out of seeing the actual process that it took. 7 days to build these windows. Now that includes, I had to clean that basement up. If you'll notice near the beginning of the video, when I was planing the wood, that basement was a wreck and I just couldn't work in it. So I did take a day to completely clean that area up before I started working with the glass and the fine detail pieces. So anyway, let's get them installed and get it wrapped up. Okay, oh, there you go. Hey, I know they look a little bit too new, but they are. So again, that's only primer. By the time I get some paint on there and get them to blend in a little bit nicer, those ferns get growing, we decorate back here a little bit, they're gonna be just perfect. But anyway, I don't like the bright white myself either. So thanks for coming along. This was a long one. You asked for it, you got it. We will see you again next time right here at the cabin.